welcome back to Shirty Deeds. My name's Jen. I like talking about all things knitting and sewing, and it has been a while. It's been a long while since I've posted a video, several months in fact, and there are quite a few reasons for that. It's not because I didn't want to, I just had to put the brakes on and concentrate on some other stuff for a while. Thank you to all the subscribers who have stayed subscribed despite me going completely AWOL. I've barely been on any social media, and I've had some really nice messages from people through my Instagram asking like if I'm okay, and that's been really nice, from just random strangers on the internet, like checking up and seeing whether I'm all right and that they're looking forward to me getting back to making some videos. So that's really sweet. If you were one of those people, thank you so much. As a bit of an explanation as to where I've been, I know I don't owe anybody an explanation, but I'm going to explain anyway because it might be a bit cathartic, get it all out. And also I am not embarrassed about any of it. I think we all have difficult times in our lives and lots of stuff going on. We're all very busy, aren't we? And I think it is important to talk about things. So fast forward a bit if you just want to hear about exciting things that are happening tomorrow at the Knit and Stitch show. But if you're interested in any way as to where I've been, then stick around for the next couple of minutes. To make this less awkward to talk about really personal things, I'm going to do something at the same time. I have been sat here frogging the sensible grey jumper. I'm not frogging all of it. This is quite a saga. People that have been around for a while will know in previous videos this sensible grey jumper has been an ongoing topic of discussion and entertainment, I suppose. I am going to continue with it because I think it's just going to be really nice, basic jumper. But I think the reason that I got all held up working on it is because I didn't like the way that the sleeves were going. And I kept trying it on and thinking this sleeve is just not right. And I think I don't like the way that I picked up the stitches, and I didn't like the amount of decreases that I was doing down the sleeve. I think it wasn't right for my very long arms. So I need to do it again. The sleeve needs to be frogged. So I've been doing that today. I'm going to continue with it while I explain where I've been. So I think it was in the springtime I was last putting videos up regularly. And at around that time, one of our, I won't go into too much detail, but one of our very close family members got very, very poorly, very quickly, with something that was sadly going to be incurable, and we found out fairly quickly that it was going to be terminal. And then despite the fact that we thought we might have a few months or even years, 10 weeks later, unfortunately, he passed away, which was incredibly sad and very difficult to cope with because it had all just happened in this whirlwind of and just so quick. This person that had previously been in pretty good health, I would say. So it was very shocking, and there's been a lot of having to support other family members, and really just me and my husband have just been getting our heads around it all. So that was going on. Amongst all of that, I was not very well myself. You may remember I've mentioned in previous videos I have a chronic condition. That condition is very rare. You've probably never heard of it. Most people haven't. It's called hypophosphatasia. And it is a genetic condition in which my body doesn't produce enough of the enzyme that helps make calcium and phosphates and things into bone. So as a result, I have very soft bones. I get a lot of symptoms like bone and joint pain and problems with tendons and muscles. Stamina can be a problem. Walking and my walking gait is very dodgy a lot of the time these days. It can give you pretty severe dental problems as well. And although it's sort of chalked up as a bone disease, it actually has lots of other problems associated with it, multi-systemic problems, actually including some mental health problems. It's some sort of chemical thing that goes into your brain. I won't bore you with the details. Anyway, I got so ill with so much pain and difficulty walking. I mean, I've had difficulty walking all year, really. Got very, very bad foot. Then my mental health really took a hit as well. And with everything else going on, I was just too much. And I ended up actually having to take a few weeks off work, which I hate having to do, but I just needed to get myself right and sort myself out. So did that, got myself feeling better, adjusted medications slightly, and gradually started feeling a bit better. So something had to give, basically. There was just too much going on, didn't feel up to it, couldn't post any videos, so I didn't. Again, thank you for the messages that some people sent asking if I was all right. I am now. I wasn't for a bit, but I am now. And I'm really excited to get back making some videos because I do really enjoy it. And it does give me like a little bit more purpose with my crafting and like making things. It's just nice to be able to show stuff, show people what you're up to, isn't it? Because a lot of my in-person friends are into other things, and you guys are into this sort of thing, so hooray, I'm back. Anyway, in much cheerier news, tomorrow, I'm so excited about this, I am going to knit and stitch at Alexandra Palace in London, and it used to be called the Knitting and Stitching Show, but they've rebranded this year. Maybe they're trying to make it sound younger and cooler. And being so young and cool myself, I will be there. I'm not going on my own. I was going to, but my mum-in-law thought that she might quite like it as well. So I bought tickets for both of us. It was a bit of a last-minute decision. We only decided like a week ago that we were going to go together. So I bought the tickets and we're going to do it. Very exciting. Now I am a little bit nervous because my walking has been so bad that it's going to be quite difficult, and it's going to be a lot of time on feet and walking around and stuff. But I did, a couple of weeks ago, got my blue badge through the post, which I applied for a while ago. Thankfully was granted. So with a bit of luck, we're going to be able to park really close to the entrance. So that's going to reduce the amount of walking that we're going to have to do, because a lot of the car parks there are quite far away from the main building, and it's on the top of a hill as well. So the walking might be a bit difficult. Hopefully we'll get one of those disabled spaces. The accessibility info though on the website does say that if all those spaces are gone, if you park in I think it's the East car park, they're doing like a buggy shuttle service for disabled people from there so that you can get to the show entrance without too much walking. So we'll investigate that if that happens, and hopefully, we're hoping there's going to be like seats around places so that we can sit down, have a coffee, because I'm going to need to find seats and have a break at various points through the day. Otherwise I'm just going to end up with lots of pain and difficulty. So I'm a bit nervous about that, but I'm going to report back on that. It'd be really interesting to see how accessible this show really is. And although I am on my year of really getting hold of my stash and not buying fabrics and things, I have got a shopping list I'm taking with me, written on the back of an envelope. But I thought this was going to be a really good opportunity to see fabrics in person and feel and touch them and do a bit of fact finding, because I hate that thing where you order stuff online and it turns up and it's just not quite right for the project you were thinking, and then you have to think of something else to do with it. And that's how the stash ends up growing some of the time, isn't it? That things come and they're not quite right and you think, oh, I'll keep it because it might be good for something else, and then it just sort of sits in the stash because you're not sure what to do with it. I'd like to sort of avoid that in future, so there'll be lots of fact finding and touching fabrics and seeing things. And then I've got a few items on my list for particular projects that I'm really keen to make over this autumn and winter, including a dress for Frocktails, because I'm going to be going to Plymouth Frocktails in March, which I'm really excited about. I'd like to have a look at some rib knits for some long sleeve t-shirts. I'd really like a black and white checked flannel, like brushed cotton fabric to make a shirt. Long sleeved, nice wintry cozy shirt. And I'd really like to have a go at making a quilted jacket, and I'm going to see if anybody's got some really nice pre-quilted fabrics that I could use for that in a colour that's going to go with lots in my wardrobe. Also need some new chalk markers, chalk type pencils, because mine are like stubs, and it's about time I got some new marking tools, so I'm going to see what's about. Tend to prefer the pencils or chalk rather than pens, but I'm willing to be persuaded otherwise. We'll see what I might be able to like try out and have a look at the show. And there's some stuff on the live stage like catwalk as well that's going on through the day. Also another opportunity we thought to have a sit down and a rest whilst watching things like that. So I'm going to take my phone along and try and film a few bits. I think now I'm going to nip upstairs and try and figure out what I'm going to wear in the morning. I don't want to be making those decisions at the stupid o'clock time that I've got to get up tomorrow in order for us to get there in the morning. So I'll go and have a look, see what I fancy putting on, and I'll see you in the morning. So I went for simple and comfortable, all made by me. White t-shirt, my new black jeans, hot off the machine, and this shacket. Shout out to Heavenly Feet for designing these boots. They have an inner sole that feels like memory foam, so really comfy to walk around in. Are you even a vlogger if you don't include a coffee making shot? Seriously though, I needed this, it was very early. After a long drive, we arrived at Alexandra Palace and managed to nab one of the last disabled spaces at the back of the building. Stopped to check out the view over London, some more walking, wish we'd got the shuttle at this point. We arrived at about 10:10 and there wasn't a queue to get in, so that was alright. Pretty impressive entrance with the glass roof and trees, nice. The first bit you walk through had a display of winning creations from the Festival of Quilts, which was on earlier in the year. Pretty sure you're not supposed to touch them, but this person had a look at the back. Naughty. I loved this one. It had loads of free motion embroidery all over it. And this one where each square is like origami. I do love a paper crane, so this one was definitely my cup of tea. So cool. And then we got to the first of two big halls with exhibitors. I got on with feeling up the fabrics straight away. This is the sort of check I'd like from my shirt, but it wasn't a winter weight fabric, so not quite right. And this was a contender for the quilted jacket, but it didn't feel very substantial for the price. Got very tempted by this gorgeous iCat cotton, but since it wasn't on my list, I thought 22 quid a metre was a bit much without having a specific project in mind for it. Kind of regret leaving it behind now though. And I'm always tempted by African wax prints, but I've got some in the stash already that I need to use before buying more. Had a lovely chat with the chap selling these natural detergents for washing and blocking nits. They're leave-in products, so you don't have to rinse, and I bought some of the cotton wash to try. Can we just appreciate yarn food as a business name? Love it. Here's some people enjoying the knit lounge. I did spot the famous Stephen West here. He's a lot taller than he looks on the internet. These folks did these glorious tapestry kits of famous faces, which I fell in love with, but then discovered that they come with wool yarn and I don't use wool. I might get in touch with them, see if they'd do the pattern on its own so I could choose my own yarn. My favourite, the Vivienne Westwood one, isn't out yet, but it was available to pre-order. And if you're in the market for some fancy scissors, you could do worse than checking out Ernest Wright. They had fabric out so you could test them and they were so good. Did some people watching during another one of our sit-downs, then a final bit of shopping. I got this stripy cotton jersey to make a long sleeve tee and bought the knitting pattern for this amazing faceted scarf. The combination of stitches make the folds sit like that somehow. Magic. And then one final look at the view before heading back to the car to collapse. So, back from the show. It was a great day, but I am completely exhausted now. Thoroughly spent. I think anybody that goes to that show probably would be. There's so much to see and so much walking around that it's pretty full on, bit overwhelming to be honest. I've never been to that show before, but it was big. Anyway, Did buy a few bits. It's not really a haul. I hate that term. We don't like to encourage overconsumption here. But I did pick up a few bits on our little shopping trip around all the exhibitors, including a couple of things that weren't on my list, but they were relatively inexpensive and didn't go against my fabric buying sort of ban. Is it a ban? It's not really. I did buy some fabric. I got the Zigzag Pizzazz scarf pattern for knitting, which I just thought was really cool. You'll have seen it in the previous little video. It's by Chroma Nima. You can also find it on, they are on Ravelry, so you can find it on there. I won't show you the details of the pattern because obviously it's a paid for thing. They were doing some incredibly expensive kits for £180, which included all the cashmere yarn that you would need for this. But I think I've got some much more reasonably priced yarn in my stash that I can make this from. Not sure where I'm going to cast it on, but pretty excited about that. Thought it was a really cool, innovative design. So that's fun. Also picked up the cotton wash from Yarn Food, as seen in my little film. I just really liked the idea of these, wanted to give them a go. I will report back once I've tried it and see how blocking my cotton knits that I've got on the go goes with this. They also had little tester pots where you could smell the different products, and I can confirm they smell delicious. So this is citrus flavour, and it'll be really nice to smell all sort of lemony when I'm wearing my knits. Other things I picked up, did manage to complete my mission of finding a chalk marker, pencil type that you sharpen, and I got it. I was going to get a dark coloured one and a light coloured one, but this is a silver one that they claim on the packaging is for marking light and dark fabrics, so I thought 2 in 1. Sounds legit, like it would work, because it's a greyish silver colour, so that seems like it would show up on most colours of fabric. It was £2, 5p, so pretty bargainous. Gonna see how that one goes. Also, as you saw, did manage to find some nice jersey fabric for long sleeve t-shirt. I was looking for rib knits in particular, but didn't find any that I quite fancied, so went for this, which is a cotton and elastane jersey mix. Feels really nice, it's a nice weight, and will be perfect for making the sort of long sleeve t-shirt that I was looking for rib knits for. So although it's not exactly what I went for, it is of the same ilk, and I haven't got anything like that in my stash, so I think that still follows my list and my rules. And then the only other thing that I picked up was some quilted fabric for my quilted jacket. I decided early on in the day, after seeing a few more bits, that I wanted to go for black, which might seem boring, but black is actually quite a good colour on me. I'm one of those lucky people that can wear black quite happily, and it doesn't make me look washed out or anything. And I just thought a black coat, you can just chuck that on over anything. It will go with pretty much everything I own. Be a really useful kind of casual coat jacket type thing. Not 100% sure what pattern I'm going to go for, but found some lovely black quilted fabric, which is, I think, a good stiffness and weight to hold the shape of the sort of jacket I think I want. And actually it will be an opportunity to use up something else from my stash, because it's not lined, as you can see. It's not like a double-sided quilted fabric, it's just one side. So if I pick out a pattern that works to make it lined, then I think that's going to work really well. It was totally bargainous. I can't remember who the store was that I bought it from. I'm so sorry. It was a really busy, full-on day. But they were selling the end of a roll for £7.50 a metre, which I just thought was a complete bargain. And I asked for 2.5 metres and they had nearly 3. So for the price of 2.5 metres, they just gave me the end of the roll. So I might have a little bit of this left. We'll see how we go when cutting out and things, but might have a little bit left to make something else out of, like perhaps a gilet or something like that. So that was my final purchase. I think I did quite well, quite controlled. As far as accessibility goes, this was something, as I said previously, I was pretty concerned about, because I really have to limit the amount of time I'm on my feet and limit the amount of time walking these days. Otherwise, I end up with days and days of pain afterwards. So I did try to be careful with that. But if you are in any way disabled mobility-wise and are not a wheelchair user, be prepared that it is a lot of time on feet, and although there is lots of seating all round the venue at this, it was not the easiest to find. Whenever we wanted to sit down, we did find a seat, but sometimes it took some hunting. We had to share tables with people. We had to sort of pounce when we saw people getting up from their seats just so that we could sit down. So that made it a little bit trickier, and it did make me a bit anxious through the day, thinking, I mean, both of us felt like we needed plenty of sit downs. So we did spend a fair bit of time doing that. So be aware of that. If you are a wheelchair user, we did see wheelchair users at the show, not very many, and I'd say it wouldn't be the easiest day out ever for that. Clearly possible because people were there using wheelchairs, and in general the aisles between all the exhibitors as you walk around were fairly wide, but we did notice around some of the really popular stalls that like crowds of people started to build up, and it really narrowed the room. We were having to squeeze through people, and I did actually, when I was in the queue to buy one of my fabrics, there was a lady who was a wheelchair user just by the side of me, and she waited a really long time for an opportunity to actually be able to turn round and go back the other way, because the oncoming traffic of all the people coming just wasn't allowing her any turning space to get round, and I could feel that she was feeling awkward about it. The person that she was with was feeling awkward about it. Thankfully, some kind person sort of realised what was happening and stopped the crowds so that she could turn round, but it didn't look like the easiest scenario for her. So just be aware, as I'm sure anybody that is disabled knows, that the experience is probably going to be a bit trickier for you, which is a shame. I'm not sure how that could be particularly improved. The parking, the disabled parking, there's not that many spaces around the back of the building, but there were some. We managed to get, I think, the second to last space that was there, and we arrived at about 10:10. Show opens at 10. So if you are wanting to get one of the blue badge spaces at the back of the building, which is the closest you can park, I would recommend trying to get there before 10. Otherwise, they're all going to be gone. There was a buggy shuttle service, like a sort of giant golf cart thing, that could take you from that bit of parking round to the entrance, because it was right down the other end of the building, and it's a big old building, so it was quite a walk. I would say that the event organisers, we might have just been missing it, but the event organisers could really do with advertising where that buggy service picks up and drops off from, because we couldn't see anything and just decided to walk in the end. Might have been an error because we got really tired later and we could have avoided that bit of walking, but just be aware that it wasn't very obvious. I think you just sort of had to hang around in the car park and flag it down from what we could see, but maybe there were signs that we missed. Also, if you are going with your blue badge, you get free parking if you're in one of those parking spaces, but because they do the parking by ANPR camera when you drive into the car park, and they'll have your car registration, you'll get a fine if you don't go and scan your blue badge. So where the parking meter bit is, where you go and get the sort of pay and display ticket, you need to go there, click the blue badge option, and then on the back of your blue badge you've got the sort of barcode bit. You scan that, put your vehicle registration details in, and it will give you 24 hours free parking. That was also something that wasn't obviously advertised anywhere around those spaces, and we had to ask one of the sort of car park stewards that was around. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known to do that, and I would have ended up with a fine for the parking on my car. And the people that were parking just next to us didn't know that either, and I had to explain that to them. And that required a bit more walking around to go and find someone to ask whether we needed to do anything, and then also actually walk back to the car, get the blue badge, then go to the pay machine, do all the doodad with the barcode and stuff, and then go put the blue badge back in the car to display in the front of the car. So Just if you're going to an event at Alexandra Palace, just be aware that there is that little parking thing. Quite often you just stick your blue badge in the window, I believe, and it's all good. But because of the ANPR cameras, they don't know whether you've got a blue badge or not. So you do need to sort of register it on the pay machine. So some tips there. When we were actually inside the show, as I said, I was hoping that we might be able to sit down and watch some of the catwalk shows and sort of where the main stage is. We did catch glimpses of that as we were walking past, but I think we got there a little bit late for the things that we were hoping to see, and all the seats were gone, and there were several rows of people standing behind where the seating was, all around that main stage area. So if you're hoping to grab one of those seats at the stage, go really early on in the day, go really early before whatever you want to watch is on. Otherwise, there's no way you're going to get a seat. There were more people standing up than sitting down, I would say. So unfortunately, we weren't able to sit down and watch any of those things. By the time we got there, it was just completely crammed with people, and it would have meant having to stand up for a long period of time, so we decided that wasn't for us. It was a shame. There was a couple of things on that catwalk stage that I really wanted to see, but we busied ourselves with other things. We really enjoyed having a look around the exhibits, like the quilts that they had, and quilting isn't usually my thing, but they were absolutely beautiful, really amazing. So it's really good that there's other stuff to see and it's not just all shopping. But as I say, if you want to see any of those like catwalk shows, be prepared to stand up or get there really early and park your bum on a seat and keep it there, because it was really, really busy in that area. Also, the knit lounge, which was quite small, was really busy all day. From whenever we walked past it, it was like really, really busy all day. So if you wanted to get a seat and like chill out and do a bit of knitting and stuff, again, get there early. The key to all of this is get there early. I wouldn't like to speak for all types of disabilities as to how accessible this show is. I know a lot of these venues do things like hearing loops and stuff like that, I think, but whatever your disability, whatever your difficulties are with mobility or anything else, I would recommend going with somebody that can help you, that can go and grab seats, that can go and queue up to get coffees, take someone that's a bit better able to do those things. Otherwise you're going to end up standing in queues, that sort of thing. Like a lot of these events, you can get a free carer's ticket for someone to accompany you if you're a disabled person, if you're registered disabled, if you've got a blue badge, etc. You can take a carer with you and they get a free ticket. But you have to be aware that if you were to buy one of the VIP tickets, like a bronze or silver VIP that they do, where you get things like lunch included, the carer, if you've got a free entry carer that's coming with you to help you, they do not get the benefits of your bronze or silver ticket. You would have to buy them a bronze or silver ticket for them to come into those like exclusive VIP areas with you. I think it was also a good move that we went on the Friday. We were thinking it was going to be the Thursday or Friday that we'd go. Friday was the day that worked best for both of us, and I think for anybody with any difficulty moving around or needing to sit down and not have such big queues, going on the busier days of Saturday and Sunday, because they're the weekend, I imagine they are much busier, I think might be so busy it would really have a negative effect on your experience of a show like that, because it would just be too busy. It'd be really difficult to get around. As it was, as the day went on Friday, early afternoon, it got so busy we were literally squeezing through in between people at times, which was fine, but if you were a wheelchair user, as I said, that would just be kind of nightmarish, to be honest. So going on a quieter day would be a good move. But in general, really enjoyed the show. I think I would go again. I know that in Islington in March there is also the Stitch Festival, which I think is probably quite similar. Obviously a different venue. I'd be really keen to go to that and see what I think of the accessibility there, whether it's easier or more difficult to cope with it than the show at Alexandra Palace. I know that it is a venue with a lot of stairs and not all of it is completely accessible as far as I understand. So thinking about possibly going to that one, but we will see in time. I hope you enjoyed my little rundown of what went on at the Knit and Stitch show, and If you were there, I hope you made some fun purchases. I hope you met some nice people and got yourself involved and really had a good time. I will see you next time.